Coach,
What's up, Coach?
what's going on? Let's just get the audio and all that good stuff going.
No, absolutely.
Make sure we're good on that component. Good. All right. Can you hear me, Coach?
Yep, I can hear you. How you doing?
Man, I can't complain if I needed to. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Same deal this way, man. Just staying the course out here in Brooklyn. Gotta stay inside still.
BK,
Yeah.
BK. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. So, talk to me, man. I doing a little research. I know you got some roots in Arkansas, right?
Yeah, well, I grew up in Chicago, but I made a decision to go to school in Arkansas. Was a big Scottie Pippen fan growing up when I was young, and so it was real unique when the coaches reached out to me my senior year in high school.
Got you. To kind of give, got tell your name a little, tell your name, and you know we're gonna have to dig into that Scottie Pippen fan stuff. You know we're gonna have to dig in that a little bit, right?
No, well, first, I appreciate you having me. My name is Terrell Coburn, go by Coach C. Again, I'm from Chicago, grew up in Chicago, went to school in Arkansas, and started my coaching career at my alma mater at University of Central Arkansas, and made my way up here to New York City. Coached at LIU Brooklyn for 5 seasons, coached junior college for a season at ASA in Brooklyn, and now I've been at Wagner College here. It's going on my 5th season.
Got you. So, kind of go into the details about it, Coach. What's some any playing experience you want to share, or anything like that?
Well, my high school career, it was a very unique career growing up in Plainfield, Illinois. Um, I was one of those players that would get after you on the court. I would pick you up 94 feet, very, very energetic in practice, score as well. And then as I got to Central Arkansas, those roles kind of changed a little bit. Had to be more of a point guard, had to be more of pass first. And I think some of the things that I learned from my high school career, as far as my leadership capabilities and just being there for my teammates and just giving everything I got to the team, whether, utilizing your strengths and weaknesses and exhibiting those every day and exhibiting those strengths and really picking everybody else up was one thing with my career that really helped me excel and really prepare me for the coaching aspect. Really, I never thought about coaching, teaching the game. It's crazy and ironic how that started for me, but it was more how I was preparing myself as a player and how I was uh, paying attention to the little details when I played and not really knowing why I was doing it from a coaching standpoint, but just knowing as a player I wanted to get better every day. Um, I just remember studying, how to come off a ball screen and how to do, so those type of things, it's the little details. Those are some things that really prepare me for the coaching aspect and, um, playing different levels. It gives you an opportunity to expand your game and put yourself in a position to be successful. And so for me, when I was done playing, I decided to go back to school and kind of started my coaching career from there.
Wow. So, man, so that's pretty big, Coach. So, basically, I did some of the same thing. It's like once you see the game from the coach's perspective, it's a totally different thing from that deals with the IQ. That
Right.
deals with the IQ. So I'm assuming you saw The Last Dance, right?
Absolutely.
Talk to me about it. What's your thoughts on it?
So the big thing is players' perspectives and how they see, their reflection of it 10, 20, 30 years from now. And so when you see a dominant team like that, you don't really know what they go through unless you're um, investing into some type of that behaviorism. So like, I didn't know that, Scottie Pippen was one of the worst paid players in the NBA. Like, I had no idea. That, to me, that was mind boggling. I didn't know that Dennis Rodman was taking all these trips during the season and the playoffs at the level that he was doing. And so when you look at those things and those different obstacles, and you look at their origin and how they became such a great team, and Michael Jordan and his leadership qualities and different things that he had to exhibit, the things that he went through, why he had the mentality that he had in the first place, and how he spread some of that wisdom on to Scottie and some of the other players that was there. But the big component, and I tell this to players all the time, is you got to have a purpose of what you're doing. And so Michael knew his why, and that's his why was because he wanted the team to be known as one of the best teams in NBA history. And so that drove him not only to be one of the best players ever, but to leave a legacy in a sense. And you have to know why you're working, doing all of this work, and you're running and you're doing all these weightlifting and weight training. You gotta know why you're doing that stuff. Why are you in the gym getting up 500 shots, 1,000 shots, working on your ball handling? Why are you doing those things? Is it to maximize your strengths so you can contribute to the team the best of your ability? If you're doing those things, just what I saw from the movie, then you're gonna have a lot of success. And how do you spread that those actions to your teammates? And that was Michael's leadership capabilities and qualities. They wanted to follow that. They wanted to follow that lead. And in turn, he ingratiated Scottie Pippen into his own role. Scottie Pippen was his own man in a sense. And I think that a lot of camaraderie is within programs and professional teams in the same capacity. So I really enjoyed it, just being from Chicago too. It gave me a finite ordeal with how teams are, everything, teams go through a lot of different things, and how do you handle those components? How do you manage those obstacles? How do you manage the good times? And I thought Phil Jackson did a tremendous job of doing those things and keeping those players together. He had a lot of strong leadership qualities too that allowed them to continue to progress and get better individually and collectively.
No, Coach, I'm a big Jordan fan. The debate will go on until God comes back to earth, LeBron, Kobe, and all that. that's beyond me. But one of the things, my biggest takeaways on the field as a coach, I guess I appreciate it more, because when you're younger, you don't pay attention to it. But I did not know how good Phil was, because he was so relatable. Like, everybody's not treated equally, but everybody is fair. Let John Sally, somebody come talking about, can I go to Vegas? Like, sure. You gotta come.
They'll come back. They ain't gonna let you back.
That's the difference when you look at it. But how if you look at it, not just with the Bulls, but he did that with the Lakers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things that I really, paid attention to, Coach. So
absolutely.
The question, man, with everything going on, especially as being a man of color yourself, man.
Absolutely.
It's crazy out here, man. We just got to call a spade what a spade is.
Oh yeah.
Now, how is it in Brooklyn, man? Can you talk from a personal? Have y'all had any protests, any kind of outcries, or anything like that?
Man, we've had multiple protests in Brooklyn, Manhattan, and it's been a huge uproar and huge outcry, as there's been some events that's happened here that were basically on screen and recorded for us to see. And so the Brooklyn community, Manhattan community, Harlem, those areas, they've been the Bronx. It's been happening forever here, and it's one of those things where it takes a virus to halt everyone, get everyone to open their minds and their open their eyes to see what our community has gone through for hundreds of years. And it's really disappointing that it takes a virus to get people to have to open. And what I mean by that is that you can't do anything. There's nothing open, so you're sitting around. So this whole ordeal has taken place, and now we see things that's been happening to us as people in our community for 100 plus years, and now we decide that we want to open our minds, and open our hearts, and open our eyes and listen. And for me, it's frustrating. It's very disappointing that it's taken this type of stuff to open people's eyes. And they had a curfew here last week, and I think maybe second to last day of the curfew, there was still protesters out. The curfew was at, I believe, 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., and there was still over 100,000 individuals still protesting and still voicing their anger and their hurt. It's just one of those things for me as a Black man that been through some of those things, and I'm sure you have as well. The racial profiling, the pulling over by the cops and being harassed and demeaned, and put you in a situation where you do feel threatened, and it's very frustrating. When we can go back and talk about all the different things that we've gone through as Black men in general, but just those little specific things right there on account of the big picture, it's very frustrating that we have to continue to ask for empathy, and in turn, within that empathy, I've said, and I'm going to stick to my guns, is you have to educate yourself, and you have to learn about what we have been through as people. You have to really, really, really learn. And that's the only way you can empathize. You learn, you apply, you understand, and now you could be a part of the change. And you're going to have individuals that are going to be oblivious because they want to be oblivious. And I do believe that there's some individuals that are oblivious, and we have to enlighten them on some things that are happening in our community. Because it's important, and we're going to continue to do these things until we have progression. We're going to continue to spark more people's brains and continue to have actions regarding systematic racism, and that's really the big picture.
Coach, man, it's crazy because we live in the metroplex right outside Dallas Fort Worth, and it's heavy. I think I've experienced it being pulled over, and me being who I am, my size, it's like, I'm like, dude, it's not the type of party. So it's like, it's not what you need from me. I'm gonna give you what you need. We both gonna go home safely. Whatever, that's what it is. It's just, it's crazy. And so where we live in, I did not know this. And since this is my platform, I can say whatever I want to. I didn't know this. Somebody like me, I think it was like 60, 70 years. I live close to Mansfield. There was a public lynching where they hung somebody and put the body on top of a school building. The reason why I say that, because, man, oh yeah, we finna get into it. I like it. So we actually had a march, and somebody told me about it. I was like, okay, that's my part. I'm in there.
Right.
We got there. We stayed about 5 to 10 minutes away. We got there about 45 minutes early. I was like, hey, I need to go get me a hat. I came back. The whole high school, when I first got there, it was maybe like 100. The whole high school parking lot was deep.
Right.
We had marched down to City Hall. People of all walks of life. We had Tamala Man. I'm sure you heard of Tamala Man.
Absolutely.
And, the Mans were there. They were like right by me, and they were just marching. And the thing about it that really kind of got me, the white people were starting the chants. I was like, wow. It was so mind blowing.
Yeah.
Because it was hundreds on hundreds of. They stopped traffic, highways, everything. And so I was telling somebody this recently. I said, we'll never get this time back.
Right.
Even before Floyd, I said we'll never get this time back again. I was thinking about my business. That's why I started doing these interviews to help my parents.
Absolutely.
But I'm like, on a different platform, me thinks since I'm a spiritual guy,
Yeah.
God said, hold on, I'm gonna use this virus.
Mm-hmm.
This right here, the systematic oppression, that's what it is, oppression.
Absolutely.
Y'all got to deal with whoever people vote for, you vote.
Mm-hmm.
One of the good things I say, I try to be positive. I like that 45's in office because he's showing you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because people are like, what? Hey, man, God is so strategic and he knows. Because when Obama was there, we didn't see it. But 45 get in there.
Right.
Oh, so he cut the grass and the snakes would show. I gotta thank the little homie now for that though. That's Jay-Z Brooklyn. but yeah, man. So how has your program, if you're able to speak on it, how have y'all addressed it? Has any players had conversation about it? How is it? What's that process like?
Oh, absolutely. We have spoken. We've had a Zoom call with our players, and our coaching staff was involved. So for us, it was easy for me. I'm extremely passionate. I spoke to our head coach and just talked with her about, more than 50% of our team is Black, and it needs to be addressed. And the only way we're going to have the progression that we need is we're going to have to put ourselves out of our comfort zone. And I, don't mind being out of my comfort zone. So we definitely were very transparent on what was said, and everyone had the opportunity to express their feelings. They had the opportunity to express their hurt and their anger and exhibit their passion in wanting a progression. And we talked about different things that it would take to see some progression, because it's important. It's important that we educate ourselves. And, I did go into those things, educating yourself. I'll give you books, I'll give you movies, I'll give you podcasts, whatever. But the only way we're gonna be able to have progression is if individuals that are not Black are able to empathize to the level that is necessary to exhibit change. And so we discussed those things, and our players very passionate. A couple of our players did. One actually organized a protest in her hometown in New Jersey. So that was tremendous to see that. Another one of our players is from Minnesota. She was protesting as well. And I told him, I remember when I was 18 and I was doing the same things. And I'm at the point in my life where not only do I want to raise awareness, but I want to, in some capacity, make change with my platform, make some type of change, but change the narrative, change the propaganda of how we're looked at and viewed. And I want to use my platform to do those things because I have a daughter as well that's she actually be 2 next month. But my wife and I, we talk about it all the time. It's important that we continue to do those things so our daughter can have a better future as someone else's daughter or son, and their father and their mother and their uncles and their brothers and their, the list goes on and on. So those are the things that we talked about, and a lot of our players dealt with some of some looming facts of racism, and some, we had some international players, and they were just extremely supportive. They were extremely supportive and loving, and they want to help, and I love that. We have a player that's from England that is Black, and she had never really experienced these type of ordeals that Americans, Black Americans here, they, go through. She didn't really go through that in England, so she didn't really know how to relate until she came over to school here and was seeing the things that were happening and her friends and how they were treated. And, she hadn't seen it before. So it was disappointing to her to have to see those things. So we were able to get a lot of honest dialogue. Wagner College is doing something for Juneteenth as well, which for me I thought was a starting point from an educational standpoint. And I think those things are important moving forward, is educating yourself, and that way you can have empathy and be a part of that change that we need. And it's going to take a long time. Obviously, we've seen where we're at now, but I think it's important now in the stage and era that we're in with this technology and different resources, different minds that we have that we can do some things to make a difference. And as we told, athletes, you're extremely strong and powerful young people when you have a platform as well, and you're more than just athletes. You have the opportunities to spread awareness. And what the great thing about athletes is you're so talented that individuals look up to you because of your talent. And so they want to hear your voice on certain things and certain aspects that's going to help with progression. And we just kind of talked about those things. So it was very good to see. I was very proud of our young student athletes, young girls, young ladies that organized protests or were part of that, because I think that's important to raise awareness and continue that narrative to eventually get change.
Absolutely, coach. I think I think everybody's in. You could tell the tension is there.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I can tell tension is there, and it's like if we actually like talk about it, that helps a lot because somebody you think can be a racist, and they talking about it, I'm like, oh, I mean, it just open up dialogue. I understand your position, I understand your point. Let's just be respectful, share ideas, share thoughts, and I think that's where, because we're built as relational beings. We're relational beings. I mean, that's just how it is. So I think starting that, and I think when some people are scared to have that conversation, I would rather have somebody be scared to have the conversation and avoid not having it at all. Like be hesitant. Because if you don't want to have it, that tells me more. But if you're hesitant and I talk to you in a respectful way, that means I'm breaking that boundary of like, I'm not the big bad black man. I'm not. I'm not that person. I'm the person that I could show you, yeah, look, it's cool. I'm human just like you are. We just different.
Absolutely.
Like, thank you. I'm breaking with the propaganda, as you say. I'm breaking. It's like you see all these mug shots of us. It's like it's ingrained in your brain that like black, no black.
Right.
So I think it's, and I think the more that's why I love it. That's why I love sports. Because I had a coach that was white lady here. I was talking to her. I said, "I'm glad you did." She's like, "Yeah." I said, "Because that shows we can be different, but
right.
We're almost. We love that pumpkin. We love that orange thing."
Absolutely.
So,
right.
Yeah, man. So, what as a coach? What's your greatest accomplishment as a coach? Like, have you had players to go play at the highest level, start family, graduate? What's some of your biggest accomplishments?
I think the biggest ones have been just seeing the players, all the players I've coached achieve their goals. When they come and they ask, I want to get better. How do I get better? What are the necessary things that I need to do to get better as a player that's going to help me off the court as well? And at the same time, come to me with goals that they have, individual goals that's going to help contribute to the team. Those have been some of my biggest highlights as a coach, seeing them achieve their goals, whether it's making all conference or being able to have opportunity to cut down the net because of how they exhibit their role, or going to play overseas after they've done so much for the program. And then once they're done playing and seeing all of those habits that were instilled in them on the basketball court, and then seeing them successful in life outside of basketball, or once they graduate and seeing them succeed in all their endeavors, it's probably the most joyous thing that you can have as a coach, is seeing all of your players accomplish their goals in their endeavors. We lose track of what's important and why we coach sometimes. And I love the game of basketball. It saved my life and it's brought so much joy to me. But the game itself brings a lot more joy when you see your players achieve stuff that has nothing to do with basketball. And I'm happy to see them all. If they want to go play professionally, I'm happy to see it. I love it. But I want them to understand once they're done, you can pick up the phone and always call your coach, and you're a mentor for them for life as well. Those things really inspire me and continue to keep me going. That's what I love to see and love to be a part of. And when you know you have a positive impact on your players, and they want to continue a relationship with you outside of basketball.
Nice, nice. So, Coach, you've been in the game for a minute. What's some of the pitfalls you've seen players fall? What's some of the things that kids just like, man, you got to try to do your best, try to keep them avoiding those. What's some of those things?
The first one is when players compare themselves to another player and they lose track of their strengths and weaknesses. So you got players, why am I not playing? That kid shouldn't be playing over me. First, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? I think that's a big pitfall. Players aren't able to recognize those things. And if they are given that advice or they're given that critique, they don't accept it, which in turn, they don't put in the necessary work to fix those things or to master those things. So once you start comparing yourself to other people, then you lose motivation. You lose motivation in wanting to get better every day because you feel like you're not getting your time, your opportunity. And so I've seen players that are talented that may have not been their time. Everybody has their own story, their own journey when you get to especially the collegiate level. And you waste your energy comparing yourself to other players instead of comparing how you did in practice that day or comparing how many shots you missed or how many shots you made. How can I be better the next day? How can I improve my footwork? Am I going to talk to Coach C and getting film on necessary things that's going to help me be successful? That's one of the biggest pitfalls I've seen with players is that they do those things. And, players got to love to play. Yeah. If you don't love to play, you're not going to put in the work. And so, you have players just playing to play. And you got to love to play the game. Because when you get to this level, the number one factor for you getting on the basketball court is consistency. You better be consistently playing your game and playing your role. And players define their role. If you want to be this player, then you have to put in the work. If you don't know what it takes, then you come and ask. And once you have a plan, then you can execute it, and in turn, you'll get the results that you're looking for. If players don't have that discipline to do those things, so it's for me, I always want to help and give them those habits and give and just keep giving and giving and giving. And some players just don't. They don't want to be helped in that sense, and I think that's where some of the players and some of the pitfalls I've encountered as a coach and seen with players, they don't apply what's given to them, or they take the game for granted and they don't get the best out of themselves. And some players forget why they're part of the program and why they're practicing every day and why they're getting in the gym to do the necessary things that they need to do. So when they forget their why, and they lose their inspiration, and then in turn they don't get the best out of themselves and maximize their potential.
Best person you can improve is the person in the mirror.
Absolutely.
That's what Mike Jack said. Mike Jack said that. So, Coach, not getting into the y'all vault, but what's some of the things, not schematics, but what's some of the things you be like, that's a play. That's one of our players. Yep, they have some characteristics that y'all learn they can come to the program. What are those?
Absolutely. First one is just that motor, how hard they play. I believe that correlates off the court big time. You're going to do what's necessary to get better or to help in any capacity for yourself or whoever you come in contact with. So when you want to catch my attention and catch our staff's attention, how hard do you play? Now the book cover looks really good. I want to open the book and see what's inside. But now we're going to start looking at your skill set and different things that is going to fit what we need for that scholarship. And there's going to be players that are just special and can do different things on both sides of the ball and can score and can defend and talks and is an encouraging teammate, listens to the coach, eye contact, different tangibles, different things that are important When you get in the real world, to be honest with you, those things really catch my eye. So, and that's how we always kind of, as coaches, we always take some of our personality and see, if it's in some of these players. And in turn, you want to recruit like-minded individuals. So if I work hard and I know if I set goals for myself as a person, for me, I want to know if that player has that same mentality, or if they, kind of have been instilled with that mentality of believing in yourself and having confidence and setting goals for yourself. And then in that whole process, what am I saying? What am I saying to them? And do they make progressions from that? I love to build relationships. So I see a young player playing hard and talking to their parents and talking to them. You start asking those certain questions that kind of see if they really love it. They really want to take the game and use it as a bridge to get toward more goals for themselves. And versatile players is from a basketball standpoint is really important. But I think, especially at our level, we want you to grow into that type of player. So if you're a 6-foot guard that wants to play on the floor and attack and get out in transition and rebound and score, okay, well in the half court, we may want you to post up a smaller guard. What is how we maximize your potential to take advantage of mismatches on the basketball court. So the more you can do other things, the better you are from a recruiting standpoint with us. If you can shoot and defend, you got me. And if you can defend, I'm definitely gonna stay on the court.
So you gotta have them two. You gotta have a tool belt when you up that strap.
Well, look, Coach, look, when we played, Coach, it wasn't no two-way player. If you didn't defend and you couldn't shoot the ball, you was not playing.
I don't see no lie there. I don't. Wow, I get it, Coach. I get it. So gotta have that motor. So I think you mentioned recruiting recently. So want to ask a multi-fold question. Mm-hmm. How has social media been a way like yes, no, maybe?
Presentation. Presentation and how you want to be perceived. Your platform is who you want people to perceive you as. And sometimes when I look at players' social media and I see certain things, I'm a very curious person. So I'm going to start asking questions because they don't really understand that concept of presentation and first impression. They may not understand. I may talk to a few the athletes about that and see if it changes, or talk to their coaches and see if there's some change involved in their social media. If I'm seeing change, then I have to move on.
I get it. And you know what? The kid probably don't even know they will be under the
because I believe everybody has an opportunity to share their voice, their story, and give their opportunity to showcase how they want to be perceived. So sometimes, especially nowadays, young kids want to fit in, and they may just be posting stuff to fit in. They may not really understand the magnitude and power of what they're doing. But once you're told, once you make a mistake and you're told and you're given honest criticism and constructive criticism to help you move forward, if you're still not applying those critiques and making changes, then you do understand, and then that's when we have to move on.
So, rightfully so. When you know better, you do better. If you don't do better, well, there's consequences. So, Coach, I'm sure you probably experienced some lawnmower, some helicopter parents. So talk to me how that goes within your recruiting process.
I love talking with the parents, getting to know the parents. I think that's important. I'm always watching parents at the games and seeing how they're engaging, what they're doing, what they're saying. And I also believe in the process as well. You know, once you get this and get to know, and they get to know you in a sense, how much are they letting their child express themselves in a sense and kind of be their own in their recruiting journey, and let them voice their thoughts on certain aspects, and let them kind of engage more, because at the end of the day, that's going to be the next evolution of them when they get out in the real world. They can't have their parents following behind them and giving them advice. You have to entrust the coaches that's recruiting your daughter in that sense, that we're taking it to the next level for how you want your child to be productive, once they're done with school. So I'm a big individual on being around like-minded individuals and who's in your circle, and do we share the same thoughts in a sense? What are your certain thoughts and certain things? I think all those things are important in the recruiting process when I'm engaging with the parents as well.
Cool, very important. So, what's the so let me ask you this, coach. What's the daily schedule for a player in season, out of season?
Mm-hmm. So out of season, so we're in out of season right now. If we weren't in the COVID pandemic, we would have our girls on campus. They have 8 hours of different activity they partake in throughout the week. So usually in the summertime, they have one class. They'll come, they have their class, they'll come, we do skill workout for a couple hours. I should say an hour with these rules, and then they have their workouts, conditioning and weight training that they partake in. Once we get into preseason, the schedule can be, once we're able to practice with them, we have practice in the morning, relatively 7 to 10. They may have class in between. Then you have weights 3 days a week, so those weights are implemented into the schedule as well. So practice, weights sometime right after practice, and then they have class, then they have study hall, and then after that you kind of have your daily routines and different schedules that you can implement for yourself. What we want to do is just give them a blueprint. Uh, you got to fit in your schedule when you're going to eat breakfast and lunch and snacks. But we're gonna try to make sure that your schedule is sharp enough where you can fit those things in, fit those criteria, so you're not overwhelmed in a sense. And once you're able to do that, then you can be successful throughout the day and not feel overwhelmed and tired or restless in a sense. Once we get in the season, then the games kind of come in, so uh, it's a little bit more leeway with how they come and they partake in their classes, and making sure that we're giving them the resources, so if they have to miss class, the professors know that. So usually on a game day, they have class in the morning, and then we may have shoot around in mid-afternoon, depending on if it's a 7 o'clock game. If the game is at 1 o'clock, then we would have shoot around in the morning. But usually our games around the afternoon are on the weekends, so they don't have class on those days. But on the class day, class in the morning, shoot around usually it's like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, and then then we would have pre-game meal. Then they would be able to go back and get themselves ready for the game. For a 7 o'clock game, they'd be back to the gym at 5 o'clock, get taped, get dressed. We had shooting groups this season, so we would bunch up our girls in different groups. So you have to be out at 5:30. You shoot. We try to do it like professionally. You shooting group, so you got 3 or 4 people in that group. You get as many shots as you want. And then the next, 15 minutes, then the next group comes. 15 minutes after the next group comes. Then we'll go through our routine before the game, our routine within our team and stuff. And then we play. Then, for us, we want to keep the workouts to maybe one to two times a week once we're in season. And what we really want to focus on is injury prevention and flexibility and core and those things that's going to allow you to keep that strength and endurance that you did and that you exhibited in the preseason with the weight training. But freshman year could be a little overwhelming. And then after a while, you settle down a little bit. Once you get in that second semester, you're good after that.
I can imagine that freshman year.
Yeah.
So how does what's your thoughts on the portal?
Good question. The portal is very unique because I think it's at an all-time high now because of the mentality of players. I believe that a lot of players want to play now because we're in an instant gratification world now where, you know, those, if you're not playing, then I'm just going to leave. But I think we're past that. When we played, you know, you got to wait your time and that type of thing. I also believe that relationships are important too. If we are building relationships, better relationships with our players in the recruiting process, I think that would maybe halt the transferring situation that we're in, and being honest with the players as well. I think there's a lot of dishonesty in the recruiting process, and I believe that's why a lot of players leave as well. And then I think a lot of players do leave because of family situations too. We have to kind of keep those things in mind. And, in our program, we've had some players transfer and may not have been the right fit for them. Some have graduated and want to move on to different opportunities. And so we always kind of just make sure that the relationships are the focal point, and being honest. And really, players nowadays have the opportunity to do those things, and I feel like they have the right to do that. If you want to transfer and it's for the right reasons, all power to you in that sense. I think it's getting a little out of control though with these numbers, but who am I to judge? You wanting a better opportunity for yourself. So
I think you hit the nail on the head. If you're relational and transparent within that relational interaction, I think it brings people kind of like in this nation. It brings people closer.
Right.
So once it doesn't make you want to stay, but it brings you closer, so you understand and you make an educated decision. I'm going to stay or I'm going to leave, but at least we good between us. So whatever happens, we good. If I stay, we good. If I go, we good.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So AAU select ball. Talk to me. What's your thoughts on that?
In terms of AAU in general?
Well, how it applies to your program? Is it, you know?
No, I mean, you know, I think AAU basketball is tremendous. I think it's a way for the girls to continue to grow as players and play against different competition and be in a position where they can continue to grow and play different types of players from all over the world, or I should say the country. As in terms of like relationship-wise, is that what you're referring to? I mean basketball is tremendous.
Like, do you think it's a plus that how AAU is now, and how it is now? Does that benefit your program? Do y'all go to AAU tournaments? You build relationships with AAU coaches, those organizations?
Yeah, no, I believe AAU basketball is needed and it has to continue. I believe that it's definitely it's a lot of games. Don't get me wrong, and I think that the games they need to be a little more sharpened so we can get some good basketball from an evaluation standpoint. But I believe the steps that's been taken with the different leagues that are being established for the younger kids, so they can learn how to compete, they can learn how to play the game just in general. I love to see programs just allow their players to play and let them get out there and experience the game. You probably could take some of these games away a little bit and maybe multifaceted a little bit, but for the most part, I love AAU basketball. I mean, when I coached junior college, I did a lot of training with some AAU programs up here and got to be on the other side of that. And so I saw how much work, I see how much work you all put in with the players. I see how much sacrifice you all do for the players that have opportunities to go out and exhibit their skills. And I think it's important to have. I believe that it brings camaraderie with the players. They learn different aspects that's going to help them get to the next level. Um, I mean, for me, like the scheduling, I think all of that stuff is fine. I think AAU basketball is continuing progressing. We just have to remember why we're doing AAU basketball. I think that's the most important thing. Um, and I'm just talking about as a whole because I've seen some things that um, just doesn't mold right with me. So we remember why we're doing it, which is to give these girls a platform to get college scholarships. And I think it will continue to progress. And
Keep the main thing the main thing. You got into the business, keep that in the forefront.
absolutely.
So Coach, what's the academic requirements to be a part of the organization to the program university?
Wagner is a very prominent academic institution, and it's not hard to get in. I mean, within these NCAA guidelines and having a certain GPA and maintaining your core GPA above a 2.5 and making sure that your SAT and ACT scores are in line with that GPA, you don't have any issues getting into the program from that standpoint. Now, once you're in at Wagner, it's a very hands-on type of college. It's going to give you a lot of opportunities to get a lot of hands-on experience in whatever major you want to endeavor in. They call it like learning communities where you learn different facets, whether it's strategic skills, problem solving, different things that's going to give you the help that you need to be successful at the next level outside of basketball. So, um, you know, we do study hard. We want to maintain a certain GPA. So we want to make sure that once you're in high school, you have a lot of great study habits and you have a lot of different things that you're doing to maintain your academics at a level that's going to help you be successful here for sure.
Yeah, it's 2.5 is not that hard. I mean, that's not that hard.
It used to be 2.0.
So it did. Wow. So, Coach, man, last question. So, how do you work-life balance?
I'm sorry, say that one more time for me. You cut out.
Life balance.
Yeah, my work-life balance is pretty good. When I was younger, it was all about the work. But now that I have a family, wife, and daughter, I've been able to maintain a level of balance from, okay, it's time to put down the film. It's time to get off the phone and go take my daughter out to the park. We'll spend, watch movies with my wife and daughter, different things like that. Since I've been doing it a long time now, it's easy for me to kind of put stuff aside and then go and spend time with my family. Um, with the experience and the relationships that I do have, it's allowed me to be strategic and it's allowed me to be meticulous in how I do things now. And as I continue to, progress into a new role, I want to continue to make sure that balance is strong. So I have to be very strategic and meticulous on what I'm doing as an assistant and make sure that I have the right people in my circle so I can maintain that balance that I want to have with my family because that's important to me.
Man, Coach, I greatly appreciate it. Glad we can get you on. And we created this platform. It was like, man, college coaches, they ain't recruiting, they ain't training, they ain't working with their kids. I mean, why not, talk with them so they can just pour knowledge out to our parents because some coach, I'm gonna tell you, we just got our NCAA certification for recruiting scouting, and before we got that, I was doing it unofficially. I'm like, hold on, like no. What did they tell you? I'm like, okay, let me help y'all. Let me get certified in this.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of parents don't know, they're ignorant, and I don't mean in the derogatory way, but it's like they don't know. So it's like, okay, you can hear me say it, but what's gonna give it more weight?
Absolutely.
So man,
absolutely. No, I definitely appreciate you having me. I appreciate you having me, and you know, the most important thing for me is relationships. So any way that I can help, those things are important to me. And I'm a visionary and I'm very futuristic. So when you asked me to come on, I had no hesitance. I know we was trying to make some time, but I knew I wanted to help you in any way that I can.
I like that, Coach. We're putting things together. Like I said, one of the biggest pieces is getting that certification, and now that is that's gonna because we're player development program skills, player development. You know, we're really big on that. So that gave us a big boost
Absolutely.
to make us official in that life. So we will be in contact. I appreciate it. You in Dallas Fort Worth? Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. And if you need players, reach out to me and say, I'll see what I can find. See what we have.
Absolutely. I appreciate you a lot.
All right, Coach. Take care now.
All right. Take care.